with the mass murder of innocent men.
Monkeys. There are 12 monkeys over here. There's 12 monkeys over here.
Now there is rising concern following the defeat of ISIS.
Show them how it's done.
Media, the main means of mass communication or the display of topics and views which are intended towards the public eye. The dystopian atmosphere Ray Bradbury has illustrated in his award-winning novel Fahrenheit 451 presents an artificially induced symbiotic relationship between media and the general public, in which a collective society is portrayed as devoting a large proportion of time to media. Sound familiar? The average American household devotes at least 4 hours and 30 minutes of their day towards watching TV, and at least 2 hours towards scrolling the web. Could the novel that Ray Bradbury published in 1953 in fact have been a predicament of our current relationship with modern media? Let's find out. Fahrenheit 451 alludes to the occupants of the technocratic society it has illustrated as media ravenous, as they constantly are seeking it as an alternative to the miserable and empty lives they live. In doing so, social exchanges are limited, as individuals much prefer to interact with the parlor walls or the seashell radios. Mildred's obsession with the parlor walls is a prime example of this. As a result of the familiarity she's established with the walls, she even refers to the characters in her shows as family. In this sense, media is rendered as a substitute to socializing and as an unnatural method of dealing with emotional distress, which simply sets emotional conflict into a state of dormancy but does not resolve it. Currently in our modern world, hikikomori syndrome is the most relatable phenomenon, and it is most common around youths due to its growing popularity within the new generation. Hikikomori syndrome affects Japanese youths and results in them remaining within the confines of their bedrooms and only seeking social media as a means to fulfill their social needs. The syndrome is inherited by youths who feel emotionally distressed as a result of public shame, stress, or anxiety. In doing so, these individuals isolate themselves from reality in an attempt to avoid emotional distress. However, even this syndrome does not entail the level of obsession which Ray Bradbury has described in his novel. The novel illustrates media as an entity which has the capacity to undermine the opinions of its consumers and manipulate them into accepting false facts. The novel demonstrates this when Montag attempts to escape and the government is in pursuit. Media is used to document the occasion as a reality TV episode. However, when Montag eludes capture, the program announcer states, "The search is over, Montag is dead." In this instance, the occupants of the society were fed fake news, a media-related phenomenon which infers the occurrence of misinformation that individuals are manipulated into believing due to the way it is presented. Sound familiar? Propaganda thrives on the delivery of exaggerated or misleading information. A classical example, the United States 2016 presidential election, where the infamous Donald Trump emerged as the victor. This naturally came as a surprise for many. The confusion was a resultant of the fake polls that several news channels had posted in favor of Hillary Clinton, including Fox News, CNN, and BBC. These media sources demonstrated their ability to undermine the opinions of their audience in relativity to the election, and manipulating them into accepting misinformation, which was false polls. This phenomenon is titled the Dune effect. From what has been said, the Dune effect does make a correlation between Fahrenheit 451 and the real world. However, it's not completely valid because in Fahrenheit 451 there was only one media source. However, in the real world we have many different media sources, ranging from different news channels to different browser websites. In the real world, media is presented in various mediums. This can include broadcasting, publishing, and the internet. In Fahrenheit 451, the technocratic society which is illustrated as completely surrounded by various media sources, and the occupants of this society come upon these media sources in various places, including metros, homes, cars, on the streets, and even in their own ears. In a scene, Montag comes upon this realization while he's trying to memorize an extract from the Bible, and he comments on how irritating it is to memorize because of the amount of media sources that are surrounding him.